Can't hear shit. Hey, was he talking already? I can't hear nothing. Yo, RS, are you talking?
What's going on, Leo? All right, back.
Okay, perfect.
So I think it's whoever got in late, they realized that was me. All right. So we're gonna go over 805 first, and then we are going to go over kind of how I trade for futures. But yeah, we'll do 805 first because I know majority of y'all are option traders. So first, let's look at what I post. The first thing I post in the morning um, is you guys get this right here, right? And so this basically tells you guys um basically the high and low levels of the 805 candle that's collected from Weeble. And usually the reason why that candle is important because usually it's a liquidity candle, right? And it can kind of give you basically a footprint or give you kind of an idea of what the market is going to do for the day based off if we close above it or below it. The idea is that this is the probability of us basically getting to at least $1 on the underlying lining, right? But as you see, the average move for most of them are a little bit over $1. What I tell people is I advise that you target about half of this, right, for a majority of your, of your position, and then you move to break even, and you either let it ride or you can take the profit. It's up to you. Majority of these have been updated for at least like December of last year. It's something I used to trade, like, specifically last year. I don't really trade as much because I don't trade options as much, y'all. But I do trade options from time to time. QQQ is updated. I wanted to see if it would change much from a percentage standpoint, and it actually got better over time just because VIX has been elevated. So the moves have been a lot better lately. So that kind of gave my line in the sand. Over the weekend, I'm working to update all of these so that they're all updated as of April. Right. As you see, you have some that are, pretty high. So you got Tesla typically is pretty high, Nvidia, QQQ are pretty always high, and then usually Microsoft and Meta are really high, except for on Thursday. So I update this based on the day. Right. So now there's other things if you're a paid member after, or I think, or if you pay members know when my channel is up, you guys get the other stuff that comes with the SPX Fib levels and gap down, gap up data. And you also get the end of day percentages based off of the candle for the 350 candle. So I'm gonna focus mainly on the 805. And then members know that, if they have any questions, they can ask me about the other stuff. I'm gonna focus on 805 because that's the easiest to understand. This takes a little bit more time, and you have to watch the other videos that I've done to kind of get an understanding of it. But yeah, so we're gonna focus on here. So basically, all these were success, right? So here's your calls above level. Here's your puts below level. Here's the range between that, right? So it kind of gives you an idea of, if you want to do a stop loss based off the underlining, you can kind of use that, right? And then so here's the success for today. So we're gonna look through all of them and try to kind of get an idea of how they went, right? So in the 5 o'clock morning class, I went through this, right? Or not 5 o'clock in the morning. I went through it like around 8. And we talked about it, right? So whoever didn't make it to class, right? And it was impromptu, so it's not an issue that y'all didn't make it or not. But just letting you guys know that like some stuff will be impromptu with me just because um besides this class, right? It's just sometimes, whoever's looking for the information around, they get it. If they're not, it's, no big deal, but it's just the truth of the matter. So, all right. So, high and low, 805 candle, right? Even though this is a news candle, I don't care about that candle. I only care about this candle. So, I mark the high and low. If we close below it, we get puts. If we close above, we get calls. Any questions? Questions, drop them in the premium chat. All right. And I can tell you I've made quite a bit of money trading this. So it's very, very high probability, right? But you just got to make sure you use the same position size every time. Now, when I was trading this originally, the contracts weren't this expensive. So you got to take that in consideration. So if you don't want to take the same day contracts for SPA or SPY or QQQ, right? You next week's, or you can take a couple of days out. For the other symbols, I always advise making sure you at least have 7 days on your contracts, just so you can weather the move, right? So all right, so here, what do we get? The average is $3.53 to $4.85, right? $20, right? $21. Not to say that you have to have it hold to the whole move, but as soon as you made your money basically in the first 30 minutes. All right, moving on to the next one, SPY. SPY, same thing. Get rid of that. That's 805 candle. Step down, right? Sorry, it's not all in order. So NVIDIA, right? 805 candle, drop down, even gave you another opportunity to get in, right? Boom, major money. Microsoft, right? 805 candle, right? And we pulled back up, gave you a better entry, took it down. Now, anytime we closed so far away from the zone, right? Yes, 805, yeah. So if you hear me say 8 o'clock instead of 805, that's because originally this was based off of the 8 o'clock candle in TradingView. TradingView no longer has it. Only Webull has it, right? So, but it's the actual 805 candle on Webull, which is still 8 o'clock. They do how they do their candles is just slightly a little different from a timing standpoint. So we drop below, right? Now, if we're too far away from the zone, sometimes you can wait until it actually goes back up and then take it, or you take it at the break of this candle, right? All right, Microsoft talked about Apple, right? So Apple, what happened? You got to close above, right? Because you had this candle, right? But we never closed below. We end up going and closing above. You still get your a dollar move? Yes, you do. Then you come back down, right? And you could have taken this down to the opposite side. So just in mind, just to let you know, right? This percentage is based off of if we go either direction. So it's not one direction or the other. What's next? We did Apple, Amazon. Amazon below, went back into the zone, gave you an extra opportunity to get in, drop down. So with the market being so volatile, right, you're actually able to get some really, really big moves, y'all. Versus like a couple weeks ago, some of these moves were not as big. And some of the other guys can attest to that. I think Cream, I don't know if Cream's in here, but Cream, Wiley, some of the other guys who've been, around listening or, been around, they know how powerful the 805 can be, especially when they all align, right? And so if you guys do your research, right, and you look at yesterday's, right, basically all of them did the same thing, but to the upside. So let's go back. So Amazon, then you got Meta, right? 805. Even though we wicked above, what do? We close below. Right. I think a few people got stopped out, right? Which in the 805 candle, if you would have got in as soon as a market opened and closed, you would have never gotten stopped out. No matter. Microsoft, There's a potential to get stopped out because of the fact that it went back up. But if you know we didn't close above the zone, so you were safe to stay in. All right. Now, mind you, if you have a smaller account, right, you may have taken, this may have been like a 40% stop or 40% loss. That's up to you to manage your risk, right? Now, me personally, with the style, the stop is best when it's above here. But if if you have a smaller account or if you can't withstand a certain drawdown, right, you need to get in when it retraces back up instead of getting in on that first candle. All right, let's go. We looked at Meta. Now let's go look at Google, right? For Google, we stepped above, right? And what happened? We failed, right? So we failed. Whatever loss that you had here, did you regain your loss back here? 155 to 149, I believe so. Right. So typically, if we fail one way, right? If we go the other way, it's pretty much it's a very, very good chance that we're going to get the delivery that you want to get, right? And so basically what happens is you have basically a V shape. You almost have, I call it a U-turn. Price goes this way, realize they don't want to go that way, and U-turns, right? All right. Which one next? It's Tesla. What did Tesla do? Tesla right out the box, right? Drop, even pull back up, came down. Now, let me show you guys some all the AMD. All right, boom. All right. So if you have a situation in which if we come up here, right? If we drop, so say if the zone is here, right? And we drop down, we gap down, but we pull up. The best thing that you can do is draw a retracement on this candle and get in on a retracement. So that's the AMD, right? So let's go back up and look at the ones that did that, right? Retracement, right? Actually, retracement would have been the other way, but y'all get the drift. So getting in at 50% of this candle will do you some good. Come on. SPY do it now. SPY was red. All right, here. 50% of this candle reduces your drawdown. You're getting in a discount of this 5-minute candle. Nvidia, same thing, right? So then instead of say if you got into this candle, instead of getting in down here, right? You got in on a retracement here, you could have caught that down, right? Microsoft, you could have done the same thing, even though it was a red candle. Meta, and it happens on the same thing on the opposite side, right? So if you look on the opposite side, no, you can't use it. Doesn't. So what you need to do, being there, boys, like when you see me drop the levels, just mark them on TradingView. TradingView doesn't do it on that candle anymore. They don't show that liquidity candle anymore. Yep. Let me see if anyone of them had it. So here, right? Get in at 50% of this candle. Even if it's green, get in at 50% of this candle, right? So I post them. If you look at my post, right? I post or because of construction to my channel, I posted in the premium chat. But typically, you'll see a RS Fib futures um channel. Yep. So I've been dropping it all week in the premium chat. I just been dropping the 805 candle information. Once we open back all the other channels again, you get the full newsletter. And so, like I said, the full newsletter will include not only the 805 candle, but my gap up and gap down information to it, as well as the end of day. At some point, I'm going to be adding in for future traders, basically how to play the 5-minute zone on futures or specific quarter candles. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that as soon as I get off of here. So, all right, does everybody understand the 805 candle? If you don't understand, please let me know.
Okay, man. So you saying at 8:05 in the morning, I'm gonna download Webull tonight. All right. So you
Yep.
saying 8:05? If it go below, if the 8:05 candle goes below the previous day close, it's puts.
No, that's not what I'm saying. So the 805 candle, right? So let me open this up. So let's go back a little further. So let's let's pull QQQ, right? Delete all these. Let's go back in time. Anybody want to pick a date? Want to pick a random date?
The 18th.
18th of December. All right. So it's 805 candle, right? And we're just gonna run through a few of them. 805 candle, right? We open below it, right? 805 candle has nothing to do with previous day high, or previous day low. It's just the 805, the high and low of the 805 candle, right? Now, if you want to mark out other levels, that's on you. That's up to you. I don't, because that's not it wasn't necessary for the data, right? So you could have gotten here, right? And just let it ride because we never closed above the zone, right? Or you could have waited until we got back in here, right? And then here, right? So that's pretty much up to you. If we open out of the zone, I would say for newer traders, I would wait until it gets back in here, see what it does, and then take it into that direction, right? Let's keep going. So it looks like to this day of 19, I remember this day. So all right, got your high, right? We got your low, right? We didn't close until the end of the day, right? We get a dollar move. Yes, we did. Still considered successful. So you wouldn't have taken any trades in here. And now, mind you, I probably wouldn't have taken a trade at 355, right? But that's on you, right? 350, 355, but that's on you. Move it up here, right? So here's your liquidity candle here, right? 805. What happens? We step above, we come back in. No need to be scared because your stop, although it's a pretty big stop, right? Percentages are percentages, right? So my data is my data. If something tells me I have a 90% chance of doing it, I feel better than Steph Curry, right? So here we drop down. It gives you an opportunity to add, right? Or if you didn't want to take this, actually, yeah, if you didn't want to take this, you could have waited and then got back in. It's up to you because we never made the dollar move yet, right? So if we didn't make that dollar move yet and we come back in here, the stats say, right, we still have a dollar move to the upside. Now, once we make this dollar move, right, and we come back in, now you're no longer playing with data. You're just playing with the high and low of the zone, right? Because the data has already considered itself successful. All right. Was this a day that we failed one? We might have failed this one. Let's see. Yeah, I think we failed this one. This was a failed day. So we failed both sides, right? Failed day, get on the chin, call it a day. What happens the next day? Right? Boom, you get it back times two, right? Looks like I don't even think we took a trade today. So this was a loss, right? Because you would that. That would be a loss. That's fine, right? What happens the next day? Big drop. Make your money back. Typically, you don't have more than one or two losses in a row. 805 candle, where we at here? 805 candle. you made your money, right? Or if you wanted to make it to the upside, right? Had two opportunities: upside and downside. Make sense?
I'm getting it. I'm gonna have to be on this tonight myself.
And so was it 805 candle here? But typically, I do like the candle to be a little bigger, but it still works, right? As you can see, drop down.
Okay. I got one more question, man, so I can make sure I got this thing. That 805 candle on it looks like a hammer right there, that red one, right?
Yep.
Do you care about, like, if it's a hammer, it's a shooter? What gives you extra confidence? Okay, I get it goes down, right? And that
Yep.
went down. That gave you confidence to take the puts, okay?
But what gave me confidence has nothing to do with how the candle looks, right? I don't care because data is based off whether we go to one side or the other, right? So we just need to move $1 on one side or $1 on the other side. My confidence is, where did we close? Did we close below the zone or did we close above the zone? If we close below the zone, I take puts, and then I put my stop above here. And my stop is a underlining stop, right? I'm looking for a validation level, not a percentage on my contracts, right? So yes, this potentially could go in here, right? So I might throw just one contract out here. Like, this is for relative terms, right? I might throw 1/10 of my position out here, right? And then as I see that we go in here and reject these levels, I'm not in danger of my stop. I can add some more in here. And you see how we're rejecting these levels here, right? So each one of these could have been an add, right? Or if you missed this one, right, and you didn't like it because it was such a strong candle, wait until we come back in, right? Because we never.
Hey, RS.
Yep.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but for everybody, I don't know if you guys caught what he said. He said he's adding 1/10 of his position at that spot. That's really important. Really, really important, because he's not even like even close to 3/4 even size. He's so light because it's like a marker. You know, he's watching the contract, watching the price and how it reacts to his strategy. And then as it works for him, he loads. So that's all I want to just add, because that's really important. I love it.
And you got to think, if I'm putting one contract here, right, and say this contract was $2.50. If I'm adding a contract here, I'm adding that contract at $1.25. If I'm adding that contract here, I'm adding it probably at 75, right? So now my cost average is even is cheaper, and I'm not even in danger of my stop up here, right? And then once we come down here, I'm unloading the contract as we go down, right? Especially if I don't feel, if I don't necessarily have a specific, like, exit target, right? Now most times I do have one, right? I may look at, all right, what levels are down here for me to take off, right? And so that's kind of like up to your higher time frame analysis to be able to do. But the data says you're going to get $1 move, right? So we didn't get the $1 move here, right? Okay, so then we came back in, right? At some point, we're going to get $1 move, right? And the $1 move is starting here. I'm not starting the $1 move from up here. I'm counting only from where we closed for the first candle, right? So I'm expecting us to get to $1, right? So if I'm adding up, right, think about what that is, 250, right?
Mm-hmm. What time frame you using while you doing this, by the way, if I may ask?
What time frame am I getting into trades, or when I'm getting into trades?
Yeah, is this on the 5 minute?
Yeah, it's a 5 minute time frame.
Okay.
So I
All
mean,
right.
it's you keep it on the 5. Like, so let me say this, right? And I'm just gonna be very, 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 very strict about this. Stay on 5 minute when you're trading this until you get comfortable. Until like people build the skill set needed to go to a lower time frame. Stick to a 5 minute, because that 1 minute is gonna scare you out of trades. Just being honest, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
people can use the 1 minute to front run, and that's fine. But if your skill set isn't there, stick to a 5 minute, because it's based off a 5 minute close. It's not based off a 1 minute close. It's not based off a 2 minute close. It's based off a 5 minute close.
Okay. So you saying, and let me ask one more question, man. I'm sorry, y'all. So if we
Bro,
go
ask
below,
as many questions as you
Yeah,
want.
yeah, yeah. You good? It don't bother me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if we close below that 805 candle, you saying puts.
Yep. So if
And if
you
we
didn't get
close, okay,
out,
all right.
so let me say this, right? So now this moved $2.39, right? So in actuality, it's a data thing, right? So say if it's an 80% chance that we were going to do this, move a dollar. It has moved its dollar already. Now, if it comes back up here, right, this is no longer incorporated into the data. This is not incorporated into the data, but you can still use these levels as support and resistance. So you know how to trade, right? And you see that we wick off and we see that we're wicking, we're struggling up here, you can still take that, but just know the data was based off this first move.
The key point here is he's defining his risk based on specific data points, right? And another thing you guys want to watch is he talks about a 5-minute candle, and y'all should be watching the clock on the candle, the time. You hear me say, we got 2 minutes left on this 5, right? That's really important because you can, like, there's a lot of volume that is manipulated in the market. For example, based on his data set, they might just open the candle up at, 5,500, and that's a good short, but they might wick it up in the first minute on no volume and then close the sucker down 2-3 points by the time that 5 minute closes, and it's a good setup, right? So it's really important to what he's doing, and what all great traders do is they take their time in the moment and they're analyzing the data in front of them without emotion.
So to answer your question, Billionaire Boy, it's the first 5 minutes that we close outside of the zone, whether it's up or down. It's the first 5 minutes. So that's where I'm counting that dollar move from. Now, mind you, we more than likely get like a $2 or $3 move, as y'all can see, right? Nothing y'all have seen for the most part has been a dollar, but the dollar is guaranteed on that probability. So if it says 87.5%, it's 87.5% that it's a dollar. Anything over that is up to you, it's up to your discretion, right? And so when I was trading this and when I was doing this system, I was trading at the money contracts because at the money contracts were cheaper last year. They are not as cheap this year, right? So you got to know that. So that's why I told people who I've taught this to is that you can actually target about half of the average move, right? So if the average move is $3.53, you can target $1.75 on QQQ. If the average move is then the average move is not $5 anymore with AMD, but it used to be when AMD was running a lot. So this data right here will probably change. But Tesla, right? Tesla moves a decent amount. So you can target, if you instead of targeting $5.35, target $2.75, $3, right? And so you'll see tomorrow, right? And usually tomorrow, Friday is when if I'm gonna trade options, I'm gonna trade options on Friday because when the market is moving in unison and we get a good move, right? And all of them are moving in the same direction, you get a big move and you get, a lot of money on Friday, right? So that's pretty much that. But everything is tailored to making sure that you manage your risk, right? And making sure that you're paying attention to the actual candle. Because if this moves, right, a dollar, don't just jump in. Now you have to realize that this move has now considered itself a success, right? So you have to be quick, you have to be nimble, you have to know what you're doing, you know what I mean? But this definitely can help build your account.
You guys, RS is his strategy is fucking awesome. You'll hear in the morning when I start the prep and I give out my pivots, I talk, I say, hey, RS, what are you thinking? What are you seeing? And the reason why I do that is so that everybody hears, if they didn't read his gap stats or what his statistics are, is because I want him to share the key spots and what he sees, because he's got data for years and it's a reliable statistical strat, which 90% of our pros trade on stats and data points. We don't trade on hope or guessing. It's all backed on a lot of data points that we're reading. That's why we're very consistent and we manage risk tight. Good shit, RS.
No problem. And I'm the type of person, y'all, like I wouldn't share stuff with y'all that I haven't traded myself personally. Like it's so many different things, so many different styles that I know how to trade, but I'm not gonna share them unless I know I got data behind it to back it up in case other people trade it, so they can still have somewhat of confidence. Because I mean, just being real, you're never gonna be as confident as somebody is in their own trading system. But at least the data behind it can give you some type of confidence, right? And so, uh, yeah. So I think that's that on there. Any other questions on 805?
Yeah, RS Winter here.
Yep.
Hey, on the 5 minute close below, can part of the candle be in the box, or does the entire candle structure
No,
have to be out of the box?
no, it's where we close, right? So say if the box was here, right? Say if that was
Right.
the box, right? That's actually better because now, like you're getting it started in the box and then it came out, right? So it's basically telling me that it's rejecting this zone, right? And so then when it came back, so then boom, you could have got in on this first one, or you could have waited, you know. But I would say the first one was the move, right? But if you see that we wicked again, what happens? We drop down, right? But to
Right.
answer your question, if we open inside of it and we close outside, as part of the structure is still inside, as long as where we close is where I count it.
Okay.
Same with the above, right? If it was a green candle and part of the candle was here, right? But the body closed out, or like the body could be inside the zone. I don't care. It's where we close. Do we close outside or we do close inside? If we close inside and there's a wick outside, that does not count. It has to be
Okay.
a body close, or the close of the candle has to be on the outside of the zone.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. Actually, I have another question.
Yep.
How do you run when you do the 805 and then you do the 930 box? How
Yep.
do you use those in Confluence?
So you can, but the 930 is solely based on me trading futures. But you
Oh, a
can.
trading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like so in SPX, right? If we go to SPX, let me see. Let me go to something else.
So not the 805 is options and the 930 is futures.
Yeah, so I mean, yes. So the reason why for me is because I'm gonna tell you why. It's because uh like you can still like you can't use I wouldn't use it for let's say be mindful of using it for options just because of the fact that like of how can I say this? I'm trying to think of the best words to say. My data wasn't geared for options. It was geared just for NQ when it comes to 930. That's just the
Futures.
like yeah, futures, yeah.
Future, you
So
guys, futures leads the option market. You didn't
yeah.
know that.
I think that you can't, right? Because if you plug it here, it's nothing but an ORB, right? Like that's what it is. It's a range of it's an order was the order range breakout. That's basically what it is. What I'm saying is I have data backed on NQ of okay, if we get a body close, I can expect this move. If we get a wick close, I can expect this move. And I also have just been trading it around that. But if you see, right, we break down, we close underneath, right? And then we fall, right? Then we get a rejection at the 50%, we fall, right? You can use it just like any ORB, but my data is based off of it being on NQ, right? So even here, right? You put your box here, what happens? We get out of it, came back to 50%, boom, bounced out, right? Came in here, shuffled into it. You know, I like to call it the blender because at some point we're gonna get in here, we're gonna blend up and we're gonna shoot out, right? What do you see? What do you notice here? So it can work on especially SPX by QQQ. You could probably do it. I wouldn't necessarily go with any ticker though.
I got an actionable one for you, buddy. So market's about to take a shit right now. So based on your strats and anybody trading futures, where would your ideal entry be?
So I'll say this. So like, let's go to let's go here, right? So one of my strategies is the 1800 candle, right? We get a close above, typically you can target at least 20 points. It's almost guaranteed. Now, if we get a close below, right, or we fail and we don't get the 10 points and we come back down, it's almost like an 80% chance that we're going to get at least a 10 to 20 point move, or 10 or 30 to 40 point move. Now, as far as where I would get in if we're dumping like this, we'll wait until we retrace. So I would get in at least at a 50% retracement. And the reason why is because you'll be getting a discount of this move, right? Instead of getting in more expensive contracts. So from the standpoint of anything, right? Would you rather, if you know that something is going to go to $2, right? Would you rather buy it at $1, right? Or like so here, right? It's worth $1. If you know that it's going to go to here, which is $2, would you rather buy it at $1 or would you rather buy it at 50 cents?
And also to add to your point, you guys, it's really important. Like you notice he says an 805 candle. Like so right now on the East Coast, it's 809. Why is that important? Because the market's dumping. People that are going to trade future, or well, not so much futures, but say SPX after hours on IBKR or whatever other brokerages that do this, they're going to be looking at this psychologically. This is a behavior finance thing where they're going to, oh shit, I better get short. I better get short, right? So not all the time, but a lot of the times when they see that, you know, they're gonna trap those people for a moment, wick it up, just like he's saying, because they're seeing red, and they're gonna say, okay, now the futures or those options market are gonna open on IBKR for SPX here in about 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and they're gonna chase shorts. And then most likely, not always, but they could most likely get cooked on a reversion for exactly what he's talking about. It's no different than like a pivot, retest. Once something breaks, you always want to wait till it retests that specific level and starts to fail. Then you slam that sucker and you have tight risk, just like his strat. It's butter.
So if we look at this, right, so this was the low of the day, right? So if we go back the opposite way, right? So here, right, we moved up, came, had your rejection or had a bounce, right? Never got back to the zero, got back to the top. Then we fell. Where do we react again at this 50%, right? So until we kind of, you know, and so now we are in essence, right? And my, you know, my dog, like you know, him and his trend lines, right? Boom, right? Each time you can probably put it a little closer here. Boom, 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 right? We broke it. So if I'm going to expect anything, put this up here, right? I would want a retest of this trend line. So I would actually want a deeper retracement, right? In here and then take shorts back if we're going to go short. But then if you're trading futures, right? And if you get in here, right? Not to say that your stock would be all the way up here, but just know that you're now getting at a deeper retracement. You're getting at basically the best discounted amount opposed to getting it down here. Makes sense, everybody? And just know, wealthy people do not buy in premium. They buy in discount. So think like them, right? Because everybody in their everybody's going to want to chase this, right? Chase this, right? We drop, they miss this, they miss this. And you'll probably, I mean, a lot of people have seen, been in that situation. I've been in that situation chasing the candle. And that shit just, whoop, pull your skirts up, right? So instead of chasing this, right, just get in on a retracement. Daily risk, right? Because if this is okay, your protected high, right? So 596 is your protected high. If you get in here, right, that's 311 10 points. $600 on a micro That's what 6,000 on the mini. Yeah. So why not? Even that's still a big stop, but for a lot of people. But boom, get in here, stop above here. If you got a micro, that's $60, right? $65, $64. You got a mini, that's $600. But if you shouldn't be trading a mini, right, in these conditions, if you don't have the bank account to trade, right? Even if you are trying to trade prop firms, because you can make your money, right? And we're seeing 100-point candles, right? All these are 100-point candles. So you do not need, right, a mini, right, unnecessarily, unless you know what you're doing or if you have account big enough for it. You can drop down the micros, get one, get two, right, and still make decent money. So each of these were $100, right? 100 points, right? So it's three, that's 300 points, that's $600, right? You know, for a lot of you guys, right, that's a pretty decent day, right? That's a decent day for anybody, to be honest with you. Definitely, because this was 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, right? 15 minutes, $600, you know. I think Mayweather might make a little more than that, but you know, hey, who's counting? Questions. And that's that's the other thing, right? Like we're admins, right? We're gonna get you guys in the best position possible, right?
Oh, you
But
didn't say that?
like, right? Y'all should be guessing.
What?
Y'all should be.
I thought you said you did the dishes.
I was in the process of it, and then you told me you wanted me to start chicken.
All right, sorry, a little bit. I don't want you. I don't want nobody thinking you ain't right now. All right. Anyway, so if I say, hey, get in short here, you guys should be marking your charts, right? And basically saying, all right, RS got in here, right, at 50%. I want to get in here, right?
Okay.
Why not get a better position than me? I would love for you guys to get a better position than me, right? Like, and you'll constantly hear 33 say, hey, y'all get a better position than me.
These are the big towels up here.
There's several reasons.
And the small ones.
One, our account size may not be as big as ours, and that's not
Those are the big and small ones, not
y'all
regular
get there, right?
Well, the big
But
one.
then also it's like we
They
don't
don't-
want you guys to chase anything that
well,
we
they'll go
got
on top.
into, right? Because we want you guys to trust that we're going to put you guys in the best position to make money. I've heard all of the admins say, get a better position than me.
You want me to stop?
I could do this.
I think I'm muted.
Okay.
So if you don't get a better position than me, that's on you, right? You were being impatient, right? If you don't get a better position, then because I've seen 33 call out stuff, right? I've seen a lot of other people call out stuff, and I've seen the positions get
I asked you to fold up
the members. So
Hey Ludwig, you're hot micing, bro.
are you still hot micing? Muted them. Let's say let's keep going. Yeah, wow. I can't hear him worth shit. Here we go. My bad. There we go. He should be quiet now. All right. Any questions so far, y'all? Any new people in here? Any questions?
I got a question. You said this is on trade.
Speak a little louder. I can't hear you.
All right, you said this wasn't on TradingView. How can I not see the 805 candle in the pre-market? I can see. I feel like I can see that on mine.
All right, so I mean, let's check. There's an 8:30 candle, the 8 o'clock candle. Let's mark it, all right? So 5:35 to 5:34 was that spy this morning, y'all? So so spy on 805 and on Weeble was 535.98 to 534. So I mean it's about 60 something cents off. I mean you can take that, that's fine. But like I said, the data is based off of what is in Weeble now. So
Okay, I'm gonna download Weeble. Don't worry.
yeah. I mean, you don't have to, like I said, I post this, right? So you don't have to download Weeble, right? I do you guys a favor of go ahead and putting this. Now, it is good to have Weeble because I think one guy caught a mistype, like a mistype that I did, which is good, right? I want you guys to guess check. I don't have no ego when it comes to this. I make plenty of money doing this, so there's no ego with me when somebody corrects something for me. If you see something I did wrong, call it out. You know what I mean? Or if if there's a mistake, it's always an honest mistake, right? But if I mistype something, call it out if you see it, right? So you guys should always be checking us, right? At least checking, certain things, especially these levels, right? Because I could be moving fast. I'm doing 1,000 things. I'm trading prior to a lot of y'all trading. So, it does take a little bit of time to get all this information in. So, have a little bit of grace, but I'll try to be as as accurate as possible.
Okay, I appreciate that, man.
But yeah, you can just take these, mark them on your thing, right? And then mark horizontal lines, and you can even do a alert, right? Alert on a 5-minute close. Once bar close, you can do crossing up, crossing down, right? And put you some notes in there. So
Last thing I'll add to this is you guys when I post my SPX pivots in the morning, make sure you mark them on your charts if you are trading the indices. And if you're not trading the indices and you're trading the ticker, use the levels based on RS's system and my pivots and key levels for that day based on whatever ticker you're trading. Okay, if it's megas mainly. And the last thing I'll say is, hey, RS, I appreciate you doing this for everybody. You taking the time out of your day and helping. It really, really means a lot. You're the man. I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, like a lot of times, y'all, like me and 33's levels will match, right? So when they match and we got Confluence, me, him, a lot of the guys, right? When all the admins are working in unit, and everything lines up, you will see big days. I promise y'all. Like, but any questions?
I'll just add to it, and you guys like. You like for the smaller accounts, stay away for the first 30 to 45, maybe even hour of the open, right? Because lately, because of the liquidity levels in the market are so low that the moves are so crazy. You're seeing, every once in a while, like this week, twice, 2 mornings, we got chopped up a little and stopped out, and it's tough. So it happened to a couple guys today. It happens, but if you wait, just be really patient. I'm serious. Almost to the point with a mentality of like, you know what? I don't even think I'm going to fucking trade today. I think I'm just going to chill and sit back. And you know what? Then you're thinking, okay, well, where are my key pivots? All right, well, you know what? If it hits this level and the market's weak and everybody's looking at puts, then I'll look to buy. But in a sense of like, you're so patient, you don't even feel like you have to trade. You're going to let it come to you instead of be like, oh shit, I got to get in. I got to get in. That's huge in this market. Patience is a virtue of every great trader. I'm telling you, it's big. And the last thing I'll say is you only need one trade a day. You make 50%, 100%, and you have a daily goal If you got to say $1,000 port and your goal is, to make 1,000 a day, well, that's a little unrealistic, right? If you make 10 to 15% of your port in the day, that's a hell of a day. That's a hell of a day. Just lock the port up, sit back, chill, and just say, I'm going to wait until premiums get super cheap, and then maybe I'll take one more trade, risking a tiny portion of the money I already made, just to maybe compound it and then be done. The last thing you want to do is be trading or over trading or be anxious as a trader, or have a great trade and then lose your gains. That you want to make your habits and executions and daily process in a way where you're constantly getting the snowball to roll down the hill, as opposed to pushing it up a hill and then it comes back on you. And that's just the last thing I'll say.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. So what else? What else on the board? Future traders. What's my thing at? Where y'all at? Oh, I'm having difficulties with. Oh, here we go. Let's see if this question or anything. All right. So futures traders, right? Give y'all a little bit of sauce for tonight until almost 12 o'clock. There we go. All right. Give y'all a little bit of something. So you got your yeah, let me write this down. $1,800. You got 0. You got 3. You got 6. 900. 12, 15. So, all right, those are your major turning points of the day, right? So typically, right, what you can do, right, is find one of them, right, and over here, draw a 5-minute box. I'm just gonna click through these. Oh, yeah, something not working.
Hey, while you doing this, is it easier to trade futures than options?
Nah. I've traded both. It's all about the trading. It's all about the trading. Just being honest with you. I'm making this a little more difficult than I need to. All right, so 5 o'clock, right, or 1,800, right? We get a close above or we could close below, right? There's almost a pretty good chance you're gonna get anywhere between 20 points, 20 to 40 points. All right. That's 12 o'clock. This is something that I want y'all to back test on your own, right? But it's here for you guys if right, 50 points, right? You get a little bit of drawdown. It's 12 o'clock. Y'all see it, right? So 3 o'clock was basically your high for the day for this session. Actually, your 1,700 was your high. But once we got to London, right, this was your high of the day, right? And you'll notice that around these time frames, especially these high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. I'm marking all the ones where we typically will have high or low of the day if we're going to, this typically would be your, statistically, these are the time frames or the hour that we make the high or low of the day. more than any other times. It's really kind of like 9 to 10 o'clock, to be honest with you. And so you'll notice, right, if you just go back, do some research, right, you'll notice around certain times that we'll make the higher low of the day, right? Or at least from the London to the New York session. That's one gem right there for you guys to go back, look. Another one is continuation candles, right? Typically, you will get you'll notice your 10 o'clock candle, definitely if we're trending, right? If we're trending, your 11 o'clock will follow your 10 o'clock. Your 2 o'clock will follow your 1 o'clock, right? Go through your charts, look at it, right? And you'll kind of notice it because it'll start around the 12 o'clock. You'll see us put in a type of this type of wick, right? And then we will reverse or mean revert, right? Or on the opposite side, right? So you'll see one of these patterns, right? This will be your 10 o'clock or your 11 o'clock. This will be your 12. This will be your 1, and your 2 will be your continuation down. Same with the opposite side, right? I'll put this here if y'all want to take a picture, right? There y'all go. Makes sense. But all these candles here, all these time frames here, if you go 5 minute, right? Put a zone across the first 5 minutes of each time frames of your futures traders, right? And you'll see how price reacts. If we fail one side, you will get the U-turn. And if we fail one side, right? If we do one of these, just know, yeah, Eastern time. Well, everything's Eastern when I'm talking. You'll see, right? So say if this is, right, this is your 9 o'clock, right? You'll see 9 o'clock go up, 9 o'clock come back down, right? If we fail, now if we don't fail, you'll just see one of these. You'll see 9 o'clock, and you'll see us reach. You'll see us do this, right? And you'll see us here. Let me mark it a little better. See this, that, boom. This might be your 9 o'clock. Come back, retrace into this, and then go up, right? And you'll see it. You'll notice that. So get y'all some chart hours in, right? Get you some screen time. Nothing better than screen time and some wine. Y'all see, right? Boom. Only on 5 minutes here. But we'll just look real quick on 9 o'clock. All right. 9 o'clock. Gonna play both sides, right? Got your 0.1%, which 0.1% is about 20 points, right? Almost 20 points. You got 0.3%, right? And it came down. You see the U-turn? Boom, right? Makes sense? You see, you popped out, came back in, 50%. Boom, right? Boom, just push through, right? right? Pushed out, came back in, pushed up, right? So here, held to one side, what happened? U-turn, right? And when we get that U-turn, you typically will see a very strong move. So this one took a few U-turns, right? But each one of these moves, you got to guarantee 0.1%, right? Drop down, right? U-turn, you could have made money here. U-turn, boom, right? Could have made money both sides, right? If you miss one side, let price step above, hold it, take it, right? U-turn, U-turn, right? U-turn. Making sense to everybody? This is for future traders, right? So the thing about futures and options, right? You don't have to deal with theta, right? But you could get blown out of your accounts extremely fast because your risk is not as predetermined as it is with options. U-turn, right? Boom, lift off, right? Boom, boom, lift off. Lift off. Questions, anybody? So let's see where we going tomorrow. All right, so on top of there, right? We could probably dig a little bit lower if they want to. If they don't dig into there, right? We're holding at the 0.382 level, right? Because any hourly opens that didn't get tagged. 12:30 it didn't get touched, but they may leave that one alone. Yeah, so if we hold this right, we could potentially go up, or we could just drop down, right? Because you go here. All right. And if you ever notice me put these boxes on stuff, right? There's two boxes I typically put when I'm doing fibs. 0.786 to 0.886. And it's 0.5 to 618. Those are the levels I look for. We got reactions there, right? And the next reaction was there. Right. And if I flip this the other way, where do we get our reaction from? All right. And if we want to do this one here, where do we get our reaction from? 0.786, 0.86, right on the dot. Move right on up. All right. Well, if there's no questions, y'all, I don't like no reason. Going once, going twice. Everybody good? All right. Don't trust. Yeah, no problem. Actually, let me see something real quick while we talking. Let's see if anybody got trade or signature. So y'all notice one thing, right? Just be real quick. Y'all notice one thing about all these, right? Inside 4 hours, 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 inside 4 hours. So anybody want to tell me what an inside 4 hour or what an inside candle could potentially do? Jesus, gold is running. Anybody know? Nobody gonna guess. Give me something. I need something, y'all. Give me something. Help me out. Go extreme breakout. Yes, one way or the other. Typically, right, when you have an inside candle, which you can kind of have is either we're going to break out in the direction of where we're going, or you can have a fake out one side and the opposite way. So those are your two options of things happen, of course, right? But you never, this one is kind of harder to tell, but you'll kind of notice it because we'll just clip this and then we'll go the opposite way, right? Now, with this being wicks on both sides, right? You don't, if you want it to go up, you don't want it to drive too far into this wick. You want it to basically 50% is pretty much the most you want it to go, right? So if you wanted to, y'all could put a box and have a 50% on the wick, see if we get a reaction and see what happens, right? If we drive above it, right, above the 50%, a lot of times we eat up the whole wick, right? If we drive below 50%, we eat up the whole wick. So that will kind of give me an idea of when we have an inside candle, who are they trying to protect, the upside or the down? So don't try to do this with every ticker, right? Just pick one to focus on, right? As y'all get more comfortable, and then go from there. Study one ticker, be a master of that one ticker, and then move on and add more to your arsenal. Y'all, with that being said, I'm about to go spend some time with the old lady and the kids. Y'all have a good time.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks, RS. Appreciate it, brother.
If y'all got any questions, just message me, DM me, put it in the premium chat. Just because somebody else may have your same question.